Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Senior Cat Wellness. Today, we are diving into a question that a lot of cat owners and cat lovers don't really like to think about, and rightfully so. And that question is, can your pet be too affectionate and too trusting? Sounds a bit weird, right? Considering most of us spend a whole lot of time trying to earn our cat's trust. Felines are famously independent, selective, and standoffish. When you finally win that battle of trust and your cat starts to cuddle with you and follow you around, it does feel like a huge win, because it certainly is. But here's the thing, and here's the catch. Trust is a great sign of a healthy bond until it crosses into that line where the behavior could actually put your pet at risk, and it certainly happens more often than any of us would like to think about. So, when we talk about a cat being too trusting, what are we actually talking about? Well, we're talking about a cat that doesn't really show normal caution around new people or unfamiliar animals or even strange environments. These are the cats who will walk right up to a total stranger and try to be besties with an aggressive dog, or just sit there while something rather nerve-wracking is happening all around them, but they're not trying to take cover. They're not hissing, they're not hiding, they're just sort of sitting there, no running. They're patient and sweet when danger is all around them. This is bad. Now, most cats, they build their sense of trust during kittenhood, usually between the weeks of, say, 2 to 10 week period, that little age range that's so very important. It's when the cat's brains are like sponges, soaking up everything around them. If they're handled very gently, introduced to people and sounds and even other animals in a very safe way, they typically grow up to be quite confident and friendly. But here's the flip side. Sometimes a feline goes too far in the other direction. Maybe they had a rough start, they lived as a stray or were neglected, but when they finally find a safe home, they go all in, a bit too far in. Like the big-time emotional attachment, suddenly they trust everything and everyone because, hey, they finally found the comfort that they were always seeking. It can be very dangerous. It seems very sweet, but it can turn very dangerous. When does trust become a problem? Well, it's in these stages. Let's start with a bit of the obvious one, these outdoor dangers. We all know about these, no matter the cat's personality. You send your cat outdoors, even for a short time, you know in the back of your mind that, hey, they're not in the home anymore and trouble could happen at any moment. A cat that walks right up to strangers or strange animals outside, that's very risky. Cars and dogs and other territorial cats in the neighborhood, even people who perhaps have bad intentions, all of this can be a threat. A more cautious cat would certainly run or hide away or maybe try to run back into your home, but a super trusting one might walk right into a trap. Then you've got situations with other pets, like a multi-pet household, or neighborhoods with strays, like I mentioned, neighborhood cats walking around, or the stray cats walking around said neighborhood. A trusting cat might try to snuggle up with another animal who wants absolutely nothing to do with him. That's how fights can start, scratches and bites and infections, all of that. And things can get very serious in a great big hurry. And even with people, unfortunately, being too trusting can backfire. Some people are not gentle, and like I said, some folks, unfortunately, have bad intentions. And the cat doesn't really know how to read the human signal. They just know, hey, that's a human, and my humans love me, so this person must love me too. Well, a cat can eagerly run up to the wrong person, a new person, and could become overwhelmed, mishandled, or worse. Some cats just don't understand the boundaries that they need to respect for their own safety. There's also something that some folks don't think about, and that's a cat's response to, let's call it pain and stress. Some cats, especially when they're very passive or overly trusting, they won't react even when something hurts, when something's wrong. They won't really run away when they're injured, won't hide when they're injured. They'll let you pick them up when they're in pain and not really fight it like they probably should. It might sound like they're just being calm and chill, but it can also mean they're not protecting themselves the way they should, because here again, even if they're in pain, they just assume that trust will win the day because it always has, and that can be a bad thing. Now, all of this, everything I've said so far, it can't come down to just personality beyond how a cat was raised in those early weeks and early months of life. Certain breeds like the Ragdoll of the Siamese, and our favorite here on the channel that he was featured in an introduction on this channel for a long time that many of you quite enjoy, the Maine Coon. If you've been around the channel for a long time, you might remember this Maine Coon sort of looking up into the sun. I think a lot of people around here like that little fella, but the Maine Coon. All of these breeds are known for being very affectionate, and they love people. Ragdolls especially are famous for sort of turning into a wet noodle in your arm. So that's why they're called a rag doll, I suppose, right? So yeah, these cats can be very trusting, and that's sweet and all, but in certain environments, it could be a bad thing. You'll see this all that we've mentioned so far, and also in rescue cats. Sometimes once they realize they're safe, any guard they had up before, all the guards come down, which can be a bad thing. They form these strong bonds with people, and that's all well and good if they're the people that they trust in their home, but they could also trust people they shouldn't. And then here again, that's a bad thing. It's not always safe. So what can you do personally if your cat seems to basically have no guards up at all at any time in the face of any situation? Well, first of all, it's not about changing who they are. You don't want to make them scared all of a sudden and swing things to the other end of the spectrum, but you can guide your cat to be more cautious in some very wise and smart ways. Like if your cat is very social, maybe you just don't let them roam outside freely, knowing that, hey, they'll try to befriend the big bad wolf just because that's just who they are. So don't let them outside without guided supervision. A secure backyard, or perhaps a little fenced-in type porch situation, a patio situation, so they can get some fresh air, but they can't really go anywhere. They can't roam. Outdoor enclosures can always win the day in this situation. It's more of an outdoor stimulation without the perils that could take place. You can also use some positive reinforcement. Reward your cat when they take time to observe a new situation before diving in. That helps them learn to be curious and cautious. Monitor their behavior. Encourage them to check things out before just taking the plunge. And when introducing them to new people or pets, take it slow. Don't just assume they'll get along with everyone. Watch their body language. Help them recognize when another animal isn't feeling it. Help them understand if the other cat, for example, is growling or hissing, they need to turn around and leave that cat alone. Now, if your pet lives indoors all the time and never steps outside, shy of being taken to a vet visit, everyone in their life is great, presumably under your roof, right? Very gentle and respectful. So their trusting nature probably isn't that big of a deal. In fact, it likely means certainly that you're doing something right, a great job. In any other topic on this channel, in any other scenario, I would praise you as an owner for having your cat be this way, to be very trusting of you, because that certainly means you're doing the right things. But sometimes your cat's trust can put them in very bad situations. Running out the door, snuggling up to a aggressive dog. Maybe you've got a dog in your house who's never really been a big fan of your cat, yet your cat certainly seems to not want to take no for an answer. And we certainly don't need your cat wandering outside in a traffic zone, in the neighborhood traffic zone. We don't need your cat crossing the street just assuming that nothing bad will happen because it never has before. Don't need that situation to even be thought of. Ultimately, at the end of the situation, a trusting cat it's a good thing. As a whole, it's a good thing. It means that your pet has let their guard down to you, and that's a compliment to you and the person you are and the owner that you are. But like anything else, too much of a good thing, it certainly can come with at least some negative consequences. These consequences, I don't want them to rule your thoughts, obviously, but store it away in the back of your mind. And if you think your cat is being too much of, let's say, Mr. Nice Guy, learn how to navigate that situation and pull them back when the situation calls for it. So, obviously, love your trusting cat. Appreciate your trusting cat. It's a beautiful thing, but also be sure to protect them and help them to learn the difference between safe and a not-so-safe situation so they can enjoy life without taking these unnecessary risks and unnecessary chances. To the wonderful audience of Senior Cat Wellness, would you personally deem your cat as too trusting? Perhaps a lot trusting, as in trusting to perhaps a negative degree? Have you navigated the situation? Do you now make it a priority to shield your cat's interactions on all fronts due to the concern that your pet could be placing themselves in danger? Your thoughts and, of course, your personal stories. That comment section, as always, it's all yours. And if you enjoyed today's content, please like, share, and subscribe to Senior Cat Wellness. Until next time, we'll talk to you later.